very popular in China, right? Is that because they think your theory is right, or because they know people are not listening to your theory?
It's an interesting question. I started going to China in the very early 2000s when The Tragedy of Great Power Politics was first published,
Right.
And it was translated shortly thereafter into Chinese. And in that book, of course, I argued that China could not rise peacefully.
Yeah.
And I was actually surprised that the Chinese invited me. And then when I went to China, that I was treated like a rock star. But my explanation goes like this. First of all, I think the Chinese are very theoretical. The Chinese like IR theory. It's really quite interesting. I've had just many conversations with Chinese students, of course, Chinese faculty members and policymakers about sort of basic realist theory, how it works, and so forth and so on. And they often challenge me. You know, in the old days when I would go over there, Chinese elites would talk about economic interdependence theory as a challenge to my realist worldview, and we would go back and forth. So I think the Chinese liked me because they liked theory. The second reason I think they liked me is I took China seriously. I said, China is going to rise to the point where it is a peer competitor of the United States. And I think the Chinese wanted to hear that. Third reason I think they liked me is I described the United States as a ruthless great power. And they would say to me, finally, an American who tells the truth about the United States. But the fourth, and I think most intriguing reason that the Chinese liked me and wanted me to come and wanted me to speak to wide audiences is that the Chinese understood that there was a lot of power in my argument, right? They understood that as they grew more powerful, there was a real danger that a security competition would set in. So it was quite a few Chinese interlocutors told me what they wanted to do was they wanted to hear my theory so they could figure out why it was wrong and how they could show that China could rise peacefully. To which I would always respond, you can't defeat my theory. China and the United States are doomed to have an intense security competition if China continues to rise peacefully. But for a long time, I would say up until about 2018, they refused to believe that, most of my interlocutors. They thought that, you know, the deterioration of U.S. China relations after President Trump moved into the White House was an aberration. And then when Biden came in, I think a lot of people thought we'd go back to the old days, the days of the unipolar moment. But I always told them that was not going to happen, right? There's just no way.